Watch the stitch of a stitch of a stitch, and then we'll talk.
I want to know from women over 35 if cohabitating with men is really worth it.
No. No. No.
And a study needs to be done on the fact that married women are telling you not to get married. The ones that are widowed are telling you they won't do it again. The ones that are living with men are telling you don't do it. Right? And I think that is exactly what fools many women, is that they think the grass is greener on the other side. They say, oh, well, you told me not to get married, or you told me not to move in with my boyfriend, but you're living with your guy. Can't be so bad if you're still there. Right? That's what it is. That's what attracts women who still want it, beyond the fact that many of them are just delusional. There's that fact that they think that you are gatekeeping. They think if men were so terrible, you would not be with one. You hear people say all the time, don't listen to Beyonce. She'll tell you to the left, but she couldn't leave her husband when he cheated on her. And that's facts. You're right. Not many women are leading by example. But I'll tell you this. It was my prerogative. I told myself I would leave anyone and anything before I ruin my trust with myself.
I will tag the rest of the video below in case you want to hear more of it, but I would really like to focus on the beginning portions of this, because the way that as a single, child-free woman, my most effective birth control is talking to married women. Married women who are also mothers. Now I had to break out the handy dandy for this because I have a couple of notes. I want to share my first one before I do I'm just going to share my first one real quick because it's so there is a difference between misery loves company women and non-male centered women. Let me be even more specific. There is a difference between misery loves company and non-male centered married women. And I think that we really need to be able to identify the two, because the way that, and this is not my experience, but this is a friend of mine's experience, the way that when she was going through the trenches trying to figure out, oh, should I stay in this marriage? I know he's terrible and toxic and just a bad man. Just a bad man. And then she would go into church. And I understand. We know. Unfortunately, we understand. Those of us that have survived the church, we get it. We're taking that, we're putting on the side. Why? Because that was not my friend's experience. So she didn't quite see what, anyway. So she would go and then be surrounded by misery loves company women that had centered men saying, oh, don't worry, we all hate our husbands, but gotta keep them. Oh, well, it'll be fine. You'll just move on. Have you ever considered praying about it? Leaving it at the altar. Give it to the Lord in prayer. Prostrate yourself, because that's better than any therapy. The amount of times and people that is just misery loves company. All of those women would just repeat that same rhetoric to each other and continue this cycle. And why I say non-male centered married women, and as it relates to the beginning of this video, because they were delusional. They were delusional in the beginning. They had, a lot of them, especially if they married young, they had these ideas of, oh, this is what married life is going to be. This is what me and my husband are going to, oh, I can't wait for that. And then they got hit with reality. And then the kids started coming, or the dog came, or the house came, or the things came that demanded their care. And they said, wait a minute. This isn't what I signed up for, but unfortunately now the government's involved. Those are the women that I am in community with. Hi, for those of y'all who are new here, my name is Shayna. I'm a journalist, and on this platform, I talk a lot about decentering men and child-free living through an intersectional lens. So if any of that sounds like a vibe, please like, share, and subscribe for any of my other content, including what me and We're working on a project. Yes, there's plural. We're working on a project to get more information out to people about how to move abroad effectively and then through an interactive platform. So if any that sounds interesting, I will be putting all of the updates in the description. If you want to leave me a gift, ways to do that are in the description. Patreon description, everything's in the description. So now let's get back to this. Okay, this is why they, and by they, I mean society, media, people in power, people with influence, people that move the needle of culture and populations, want young women and girls whose frontal lobe has not fully developed yet. They want them to think that older women are bitter and deranged, so that way you do not listen to us. And so that way we do not listen to those who are that way the chain of elder wisdom is broken and segmented, and we are divided amongst ourselves. Continuing on, the most realistic and helpful talks about relationships, marriage, dating, kids have all been with older women who are or were married. Talking to a woman who has navigated a painful and intimate divorce process, yeah, that'll set your head on straight. And the study that this woman mentioned that should be done, guess what? That study's never going to happen. That study is never going to happen. We are losing the ability to study uteruses, and you expect for the government that is run by conservatives in all three branches of government, you expect them. Mind you, and it's not just the United States, conservatism is growing globally. You expect a male-centered world to fund, and listen, I understand that she said that potentially as a joke, but I do want us all to really grasp onto the fact that when it comes to this kind of information, while having conventional studies would be very important, it's the fact that we need money to do that. And within the same time, I have a whole other video talking about the history of gossip and why that was demonized, because we have information that has been passed down from generation to generation, from group to group, and within women and femmes and queer people, and it is demonized as gossip. And these studies that would be ways to conventionally pass information, we are not going to be getting that. Not just for this, but for all marginalized groups, especially in the United States. So we need to organize. We need to connect deeply with our elders, because they have information. They have survived things that they are going to have to survive again. But guess what? They did it the first time, and they have information for you. And yes, that also counts for married women, for women that are in long-term relationships with boogers. They have information. Will you take it? And speaking of that information, I think that, let me speak for me. I'm going to use I statements. I think that I am now in a place where because I've been so vocal about not just my life, but now I have a community of people online and in real life that are joyfully decentering men. Some of them are in relationships, some aren't. A lot of us are child-free, but I am now a part of a greater community that is becoming more vocal, talking about, okay, sure, this is these people can talk about the realities of being married and being in long-term relationships with men. And then there's these people on the other side who can talk about, listen, you don't want a man, you don't have to. You don't want kids, you don't have to. It's fine. This is what my life looks like. These are the kinds of experiences that I do with the time that I have. This is how I explore myself, explore my community, this is another way in which life can happen. And this is a further extension of the kind of information that they do not want out there. Because imagine if enough young women or enough people with uteruses realized, wow, just because I have this organ, I don't have to use it, because look at these people that are older than me, that have already experienced what I'm experiencing, living fully without regret. That study is a lovely idea, not gonna happen. So in the same way that people need to be making community with older women that have decentered men that are married or were divorced, also need to be making community with people that are child-free, there's a breadth of experience that we have not tapped into. that younger people have not tapped into, that they need to know exists. If you could see it, you could be it, kind of a thing. Those are my thoughts. I'd love to know yours. Please type them in the comments. And for the love of God, stay safe out there.